Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're regular here, you know I review many photographic, audio and video related products. Now today I'm taking another look of a Sony ZV E10 II that I have here. Great compact camera, APS-C camera, 26 megapixel sensor inside. It has the same sensor as the Sony FX30 and the A6700. In fact, this camera shares a lot of similarities with the Sony FX30 that I have here. Same sensor, same processor. So effectively, the image quality for video is going to be almost identical, probably will be exactly the same as the FX30 for a camera at half the price. Although the FX30 has a lot of advantages over the ZV E10 II. Now today I want to look at the ZV E10 II as a photographic tool, not as a video camera. And I think it really is a very good stills camera, and it actually competes very favourably against the A6700. The biggest advantage the A6700 has over, well, there's two actually, over the ZV E10 II, is that the A6700 has image stabilisation and it also has a viewfinder. The ZV E10 II has no viewfinder, you're completely reliant on the back screen. And for photography, that can be a bit of a pain, but we are all used to using mobile phones that don't have a viewfinder, so it's what you get used to. Also, I find the fact that it's got an articulating screen, that's great for doing low angle shots. So you can take the camera right down low if you want to do low angle shots, saves you having to get on your hands and knees. Likewise, if you want to get above a crowd, you can do your higher angle shots just by rotating the screen. So you can still compose the image without any problem whatsoever. Now, not having image stabilisation can be a problem for photography, as it is with video, obviously. But a lot of the lenses now do have optical steady shot, as Sony call it, and other manufacturers call it different thing. I think Tamron call it VR, don't they? Vibration reduction. There's different terminologies for exactly the same thing, really. Stabilisation within the lens. And that will help with slower shutter speeds or in low light. So I don't feel that a big issue with this particular camera. At the moment, I've got my 33mm Viltrox 33mm f1.7 lens, or f1.4 lens actually, fitted to the ZV E10 II. I very regularly use the Sigma 10 to 18. That's a lovely lens. There's no image stabilisation in the lens, but it's a gorgeous lens, and I love using that with the ZV E10 II. In fact, when you're using a wide angle or ultra wide angle zoom, the image stabilisation isn't such a big issue. You can still shoot at slower shutter speeds and still get a sharp image. The other lens that I love using is another Sigma lens, the Sigma 56mm f1.4. This gives, for portrait work, a very similar look to my 50mm f1.8 on my full frame body. This particular camera has got flash sync. It's only 1/30th of a second. So it's a really slow flash sync, but at least it has got a hot shoe and you can put triggers on here. I've used it with my Godox trigger and it fires off my Godox lights perfectly. So that's really useful. And as I say, with a 26 megapixel sensor, you are going to get lovely images. Now, it hasn't got a mechanical shutter. This camera only has an electronic shutter, where the A6700 has a mechanical shutter. So you just have to be a little bit cautious, really, under some lighting conditions, particularly indoor lighting, under fluorescent lighting. You can see there's the sensor in there. But as I say, there is no mechanical shutter. It is purely electronic, so just be careful when you are shooting indoors. You might get banding, so you have to adjust your shutter speed to be sure that you don't get the banding, which means you might end up with blurry images if your shutter speed is too slow, or underexposed images if your shutter speed is too fast. So a little bit cautious there with this camera, but I haven't really found it an issue. I know you can get banding because it only has the electronic shutter, but I've not found it an issue. I'm going to go through some sample images I've taken here, both indoors and outdoors, and I think you'll find they work out really, really well. Now, I will leave these images on my Flickr page for you to take a look at them there. It's better than looking at them on my YouTube channel, that's for sure, because of the compression on YouTube. Also, I'm only going to spin through them, so I'm not going to go in any detail with them. And these photographs will have been taken with various lenses. Now, the great thing with the Sony E-mount system, because this is a Sony E-mount camera, there's lots of variety of lenses from all different manufacturers. So I've got a Viltrops lens fitted on there. They're fantastic value for money. Sigma lenses. You can put Sony lenses on, such as the lens I've got on my FX30. This lens actually complements the ZV E10 beautifully. This is the Sigma 18 to, the Sony 18 to 105. It's a power zoom lens. So on the side there, you've got the rocker switch for the power zoom, but on the camera body, it has got a rocker switch on it. But when you're using the power zoom lens, like the 18 to 105 on the ZV E10 Mark II, you don't need to use the rocker switch on the lens, or use the actual barrel on the lens to adjust the zoom. You can just use the rocker switch on the camera body, and that's great when you're filming. I don't suggest that you should be zooming while you're filming, but it's great for recomposing the image. The camera itself feels very similar to the original ZV E10, but it's got a bigger grip, and I like that. It's got a really, really nice grip. It's not very heavy at all, and it does feature the newer FZ100 batteries as opposed to the FW50 battery in the original ZV E10. So that is also great for photography. That'll last you pretty much all day. So, but if you want to take a spare battery, shove it in your pocket, you've definitely got an all-day shooting machine here without worrying about it at all. But I say one battery fully charged in the morning should get you through pretty much an all-day photo shoot, but have a spare battery with you just in case. It has got on the side there HDMI port, your microphone in and out for audio. Those aren't necessarily of any interest for photographers, but what I do find very useful is the SD card slot is repositioned to the side of the camera as opposed to being underneath where it is on the original ZV E10. It's actually in the battery compartment on the ZV E10. It isn't on the Mark II version. And I think that is fantastic. It also does burst shooting, where the FX30 doesn't do burst shooting. It's only single shot on the FX30, where the ZV E10 Mark II is a lot more compact, and it does burst shooting on it. So yeah, a great stills camera, which produces amazing results, mainly because of a 26 megapixel sensor. And the autofocus is phenomenal. It's got great autofocus on here, eye detect, face detect, human, birds, animals, all the usual things you find in the modern Sony autofocus systems. And it has got the modern autofocus system, slightly updated to the FX30. It's a newer camera than what the FX30 was, or is. Although I say the FX30 is predominantly a video camera. So let's have a quick look at some of these images here, not in any detail, as I say, and I'm not going to pick any specific one out, but you'll find colours are just so nice. Sharpness obviously goes without saying, is spot on. Dynamic range is really good. So you can pull the shadows up and take the highlights down, or vice versa. Works really well. Shoots Sony RAW format as well as JPEG. So very versatile. You're going to get nice sharp images with this sensor, although that will depend largely on the sort of lenses that you're using with the camera, of course. The cheaper lenses still work great as well, actually. We look at some of these images here, you can definitely create that bokeh look, you can create that out of focus look. You can even see here, using an f1.4 lens, how it goes out of focus from the center to the edges really nicely. So you can get a full frame look with an APS-C body. I think everyone would be happy with these images, and you get plenty of detail. The sensor is picking up a lot of detail. It's a 26 megapixel sensor and it is capable of rendering immense detail. It really is. So I can recommend this camera to anyone really that wants a nice, compact, full-featured camera that isn't heavy to carry around, and it isn't particularly expensive. It is competing with quite a lot of other mates around this price point. But when you look at its video features, which I look at in a separate video, you'll see why I recommend this camera. The grip is nice. I can walk around all day with this camera, with this grip, find it really, really handy. So yeah, a great little travel camera if you do want one, a decent hybrid camera that's great for video and great for photography. I can highly recommend the ZV E10 Mark II. The only real downside, as I say, with the ZV E10 Mark II is no viewfinder. I don't have an issue with it because I've got used now to using the camera without a viewfinder. In fact, I very rarely look for a viewfinder, even with the cameras that I do have that have got viewfinders. But what I have done to help mitigate the issue with having a viewfinder in bright sunlight, now that's in just normal mode, and if I switch it into what they call sunlight mode, I've pre-assigned this function button, bottom left hand corner, to bring up the monitor monitor brightness setting. So that's in normal, and I can switch that switch of a button to sunny, and then that just brightens up the screen. Now with the original ZV E10, that became very bleached and you could only use it for composition. You wasn't able to check highlights and brightness and colour because it did actually oversaturate everything, and it made everything bleached. So you thought every photograph was going to be overexposed. It doesn't do that with a Mark II. It actually gives you a nice clean image, but it just brightens up the monitor. So I've pre-assigned this button on the top here, which was originally set to defocus. So basically what that would do is set the lens to its widest aperture. I know how to do that, set it to aperture priority and just turn it to its widest aperture. But I pre-assigned that to what we call shooting mode. Because this camera hasn't got a PASM dial on it, it's ever so awkward to get to either shutter priority, aperture priority, manual, whatever. But if I just push that button in, so on the top here, we just push that button in, which I've done, and that brings up a menu with the different shooting modes, be it aperture priority, shutter priority, and just turn the wheel to select what mode you want. And I find that's just as easy as having a PASM dial. So I've got around that on such a compact body. I've just pre-assigned that button. Most of these buttons can be pre-assigned to how you want to use the camera. It has got a D-pad, so there's 4 pre-assignable buttons on the D-pad that you can set up. And as I say, I've set up this bottom right hand corner for setting the monitor brightness, so that works for me, but it might not work for you. But yeah, nice compact body, great for video and great for photos if you're not worried about having a mechanical shutter, and if you're not doing a lot of studio work. I use it predominantly for video here in the studio, but it's also my going out and about camera because it isn't heavy. I would stick on something like my Sigma 10-18 lens on, maybe throw in a kit lens if I want a small kit lens for doing standard photographs, but my 10-18 is a beautiful lens. I love it. So yeah, great camera for doing your photography and video. So there we go. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you found this video useful. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Don't forget to share and like the video. I think other people might find this interesting, so I would love you to share it if you feel others might find it useful. So there we go. Thanks very much. Cheers for now. Bye.